Hey, Razzballers, how are you? It's Nick, and it is Wednesday, May 14th. And as usual, well, I guess there's nothing as usual right now because this is all brand spanking new. We have the lovely and talented Mr. Gray Albright joining us on a beautiful Wednesday. I'm sure it's beautiful somewhere. Gray, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, not too much, kicking ass, taking names. Regular day in the Razzball studio here.
That's really interesting, Nick. Thanks for sharing.
You know what? I'm getting used to the new routine because I'm doing this daily hot sheet now, and it has taken a boatload of time. So I'm getting up bright and early and coming into the studio. But it's been pretty cool. I'll tell you, actually, let me ask you this right off the bat because you have mentioned multiple times that my team sucked this year, which is absolutely true.
That's not true at all. I didn't say that.
Okay, you implied it.
No, didn't even imply it. I didn't beat around the bush. I didn't sort of hint at it. I didn't say anything of the sort. I said you were mismanaging your team. I thought your pitching was really good.
Thanks, pal. Listen. I drafted pretty well, but no, in general, my teams
You
haven't
had
been very.
you had Cueto and Tanaka. I thought your starting pitching was really good, I should say. You had Cueto, Tanaka,
Scherzer.
and yeah, and Scherzer. I mean, right there, you could win any league with those three.
Hey, I like that.
It's actually a bit too much pitching.
Well, I traded
You
one
should
yesterday.
have pared down one of those starters, which I saw you did in a trade, which was good.
Yeah, I sent Tanaka to Jay Wrong for Matt Kemp as well as Houston Street because I was starting too many guys right now and I was low on saves. And also, I do, I think my bats haven't emerged. But the point where I was going with this, Gray, was that my team has not been my teams haven't been good because, with all the stuff I was doing and moving, I didn't have the time really to manage it. But now that I'm doing like 2.5 hours a day of research, going into all the tools because I'm making the information available to Razzball Nation. My question is, it's mid-May officially. Last week he gave me heck because it was mid-May, but now it's officially mid-May. Do I still have a shot this year? If I get my house in order, are all my 12th place teams? Do they have an opportunity to possibly make some hay here or what?
Yeah, definitely. There's no reason why you can't move up in the standings. I think I forget what it was last year, but I was around maybe fifth or sixth place in our expert RCL last year, and I ended up winning that league. So it's not you're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. If you're in last place, it's not going to be easy, but it depends on what you're in last place with. If you're in last place with guys that are about to get off the DL and could or guys that are slumping that could turn around, then anything's possible. It's obviously you prefer to be in first than last, but yeah,
Yeah, well,
still
I'm
early.
I'm in micromanaging mode right now, so hopefully it'll pay off.
Yeah, well, I saw. Yeah, there was a lot of. I mean, there wasn't really. It wasn't really like your team. That's why I was probably hard on you because your team was actually good. You just needed to manage it better.
Yeah,
It was lacking management.
yeah,
I think there was like I pointed out, you had an issue where you had bench bats that weren't getting in your lineup, and you had empty pitching slots that you could have been using for middle relievers. Which, like yesterday, for instance, I started Garrett Cole, who looks terrible. So I mean, not terrible, but he doesn't look that great. Anyway, I started Garrett Cole, and I think he got 6 Ks, but my team got 12 Ks because I had five other relievers going. So
right. Yeah, listen, fair point. So sticking with the
which is
management.
actually it's really important in a game started league where you only have a certain amount of games started you can do for your starters. You have to get those Ks for middle relief for sure.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, I mean, for me, or what's been difficult this year is I'm in 5 different leagues, and all five have completely different, either scoring
It's
categories.
something about CJ Wilson and these stupid Head and Shoulders commercials. Seriously. Oh my God, he's so annoying. Why? How did CJ Wilson become some sort of spokesman for anything? Like he's not. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not exactly a top 20 starter, let alone someone who should be a spokesman. I mean, he's what? Because he used to watch Lost. Who cares? A lot of people watch Lost.
All right, sticking with the
Oh my
properly.
God, this commercial's so annoying. I like. Oh, this is a better one. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm glad you're watching TV as we're doing this.
Like,
So
you know, who
sticking
really.
with the man.
Can I say something though? With my
I,
I'm watching Gooseman. What's his name?
Gossman.
Yeah, Gossman. Excuse me. I've been watching him, but anyway, I'll go into like a Starbucks or any coffee shop or anywhere really with this iPad, and I get flocked by teenage Asian girls. They absolutely love this iPad holder. It's called the iGuy.
All right, can you stop showing the game because I don't want to get us sued.
Sued from who?
MLB.
MLB knows about this podcast, radio, TV show. Okay. I'm sure Selig is over there adjusting his toupee, like he's twirling his toupee as if it's an evil mustache, and he's like, what's Razzball doing? Yeah. Okay. I won't show the game anymore. I'll only comment on it. Verlander does not. He doesn't look like he used to at all.
All right, I want to get to that in a second, actually. But just sticking with the managing your teams for the moment, what's the way to manage limited DL slots? Which players are you willing to kind of straight drop due to injuries versus the ones you'd make room for?
Well, that's a great question, Nick. You're slotting head first into that one rather than feet first. But you could get injured that way, and if you go to the DL, I may have to drop you for a different fantasy expert radio TV podcast host.
Just take the expert out. Everything else was right, but just take the expert out. I'm just the host, man.
I like if I could do a fantasy baseball website again and think about the name of what I would do, I would just go into a thesaurus and look up expert, like every other fantasy site does. Prognosticator? That's brilliant. So what if no one can spell it? Let's do fantasyprognosticators.com. Is it taken? Is it? So for your DL slots, you want to probably. It depends on the league, obviously. If you have limited DL slots and you only have guys that are going to be off in 2 weeks, in 15 days, then it's okay to hold on to a decent one like a Cingrani, for instance. I would have held on to him if I didn't have a DL slot. For other guys, it's really a case-by-case basis. Like someone like Carlos Quentin, who just got off the DL. If you would have had him in a 12-team league and didn't have a DL slot, I mean, obviously you don't hold on to someone like that. Then there's someone like a Ryan Zimmerman who is going to be on the DL for now.
Infinity.
I'm guessing, yeah, infinity. Really, exactly. I would guess at this point he's probably going to be on the DL until mid-June at the earliest, maybe even late June. I don't know. It's depressing to even talk about because I own the mother.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, I would Zimmerman someone in a shallower league where you can pick up a decent third baseman or a corner slot. I would consider dropping Zimmerman if your DL slots are tight. Where anyone with on a DL longer for than a month maybe, I would consider dropping. I would look to move on possibly, depending on your league though. It's hard to say. It's really more of a case by case basis.
Is there any player in baseball who needs to become a DH more than Ryan Zimmerman?
Yeah, nah. He would be the worst. He would be like Billy Butler, minus 85 pounds. I mean, actually, probably 185 pounds. He doesn't really have the bat for. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not that many DHs now that really do have a bat. There's it's the DH spot is a bit on the swoon. Is it swoon or is that the opposite of what I mean?
No,
yeah,
swoon. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's swoon. Yeah, no, I think Zimmerman's really going. He's living off of name value and what he did maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, he hasn't really been that wonderful even in the last couple of years. I don't know why I drafted him so early. as Rudy would say, for some reason I love Zimmerman, which is it doesn't make any sense, but inconceivable.
All right, listen, I'll ask you another question here while you're vaping, because it's the only time we can get some silence on that end of the studio. So going back to this Baltimore-Detroit game, so I was going over the stats, and one thing that came up that was interesting, and I'd only kind of put this in if it was bigger than a small sample size, or I guess a big sample size, average sample size. The big boppers for Baltimore, Chris Davis, Adam Jones, Nelson Cruz, have terrible career numbers against Verlander. Chris Davis, 190 batting average. Adam Jones, 133. And Nelson Cruz even worse. So, look, I don't know where we are at in the game right now because I'm not watching it. I'm watching you. I'm focused. But with that said, I mean, what's your take on that? If you've got a whole lineup of guys who've not traditionally done well against a starting pitcher, is there any chance you sit someone like that?
No.
So you're just math be damned.
You want me to expand that?
No, you don't have to. Listen, that's good enough.
I don't sit my players that are playing. I don't sit like an Adam Jones or a Chris Davis. Adam Jones actually got a hit already today. I don't sit guys like that. That's micromanaging. Then you're getting into situations where you're going to be son of a benched and you're just overthinking things. You want to play your guys. You don't want to bench guys that could possibly that you drafted high or that are the reason why you built your team the way you did. Why are you benching them? It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Speaking with someone like Chris Davis, who are some of the buy high players that people may not believe in?
Actually, I'll expand on that even further. If you're a fan of the Hittertron, which you should be, even though it is one horny ass robot, it doesn't even consider hitter versus pitcher matchups. It doesn't look at Rudy built it, so it doesn't even look at that. There's no correlation. Oh my God, C.J. Wilson is on again. It's driving me crazy. Why? I would say that it would be like Wilmer Valderrama getting commercials. Like he's like third string on the level of baseball celebrity. Like he's not.
But he keeps dating hot Hollywood starlets.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I met him when I pitched the show to him once, and he's as douchey in person as you would imagine. Anyway, I would say the Hittertron. What I was saying was Rudy doesn't even consider that when he built the robot, the horny robot. There's no correlation between a guy hitting 200 against a particular pitcher versus hitting 300. It doesn't matter at all. It matters more with righty lefty splits and parks and stuff.
Okay, it wasn't the Hittertron. I was just looking at some previous matchups of the players, but I'm following you.
But I'm just saying that it's kind of irrelevant what a guy has done against a specific pitcher. It is.
Okay. All right, we'll go into that deeper in another show. But for now, who are some of the buy high players that people may not believe will continue their hard starts going? Kind of like Chris Davis last year, maybe for example a D. Gordon this year. Which buy high guy would you actually, maybe not buy high, but if someone's trying to sell high on them and you get some value there, who do you think might be able to actually keep up their wicked hot starts?
Well, D. Gordon, I mean, you can mention specific players because it's a case by case situation. But D. Gordon, for instance, I believe the better average than he is known for previously. Like he was probably a 220 hitter. I think he's more like a 280 hitter at this point. And the speed is obviously real. I would say he's in the 50 to 65 steal range for the season, which is amazing for a middle infielder. Right. You stepped in crap when you drafted him. A guy like Stanton, I believe the power. I think he is a 50 homer guy, give or take 5 homers. He's one of the few players that I could say project out for 45 homers easy. Other guys that are doing well, let's see, like Charlie Blackmon. I don't buy that at all. I think Charlie Blackmon he could be, certain players have huge first halves and then they come back after the All-Star break and they're back to normal. Well, maybe that's the situation with Blackman, but at some point he's going to turn back into a pumpkin. Not to be disparaging like Donald Sterling or something.
What's your take on?
By the way, I don't know if anyone's mentioned this, but I'm obviously not. I wasn't even aware of who Donald Sterling was, but before all this racism stuff, and I live in LA, so that's that shows you the bubble I'm in. But anyway, I don't know if I haven't been following it that closely, but has anyone mentioned the fact that it really looks like he was just cockholed by a hot girl? Right? I mean, that's what it seems. It seems to me like she was probably like, "Oh, I want to go have sex with these other guys," and he was like, "No, all right, I'm an old man, go, but don't flaunt it in my face." And then she goes and takes pictures with the guys and puts them on Instagram. He's probably like, "I asked you not to put them on there. That you're fucking them." Right? I mean, doesn't that seem like kind of like he's also obviously he's old school in his racism. He's obviously really out there, and he probably should have a PR person standing literally 6 inches away from him being like, "No, don't say that."
Yeah, he did when he did that Anderson Cooper interview, and it still didn't work out for him.
Yeah, no, I know, it's crazy. I mean, he's so. This is a good example of how delusional and how out of touch he is with society. He said to Anderson Cooper, "Have you ever been in a situation where you've been really jealous with a girl?" Anderson Cooper's out. He is gay. I mean, it's like he has no Sterling he's so clueless. Oh my God, it's pretty sad. But I think it really stemmed from the fact that she was probably like, "I'm sleeping with all these guys," and he's like, "No, don't show it to me. It's fine. Go and do it. Just don't, please."
Hey, speaking of the bubble you live in, we had a lot of compliments on your crown molding. So.
Oh, I know. It's really I married into this place. I totally did. This was part of the dowry.
All right, what's your take on Familia?
Oh man, an infield hit. Ugh.
What's your take on Familia as a possible closer for the New York Mets?
There's Dice K, he's absolute garbage. Then there's Jose Valverde, who's beyond garbage. And there's Farnsworth, who's kind of like hot garbage on a cold day. He's more or less decent. But so there's really no one worthwhile in that pen other than Familia. So I would say he's probably going to get around maybe 10 to 15 saves this year. He's not. I mean, the Mets aren't really a team that's going to produce a lot of saves to begin with, probably. So I don't know. I would put him in. I would put Familia in around the 10 to 15, 12 to 15 save range, and then Farnsworth probably in the same area. I mean, they're probably 1A and 1B. Familia has better stuff, so I would lean towards him.
All right, Tommy Hunter obviously blew up again last night. You had O'Day as a good pickup. Actually, one of the commenters asked today, O'Day or Johnson in Oakland, which one would you pick?
Yeah, it is a good. There was a lot of comments about O'Day and or this person, which is, I mean, at this point, it's really hard to say. O'Day has a lot better. It's all about, because with saves, it's all about what the manager says. If the manager wants to go with the guy who is obviously not as good a pitcher as the other guy, it doesn't matter what O'Day does. And as of right now, Showalter hasn't said O'Day is my closer, so it's kind of difficult. Whereas the A's seem like they really want Johnson to be the closer. So it's a difficult situation. I would say probably Johnson gets Johnson by a hair, maybe because he might get more saves. But if you're in a league where you're just looking for the better pitcher and you're hoping to maybe back into some saves, then O'Day, it's difficult. I would probably go for O'Day if I had my druthers, and I knew what the hell druthers were.
See, now that I've settled into kind of this daily schedule, I actually have time to read the website, which I always break my balls about. So I need to be happy. But hold on, you're huffing. I can talk. So is Marcus Semien worth owning in a 12-team mixed league?
Who?
Marcus Semien.
Oh, Seaman.
Yeah,
Let me hit it from the back, girl. I won't catch a hernia. I bust off on your couch. Now you got Siemens furniture. What? This is a Verlander's not pitching as well as Gaussman. What's his name?
Gaussman,
right? And but Gaussman's on a pitch count, and he's also getting. And did you know that when you said Seaman, he was actually up? I think.
Hold on, the lights are out here in the studio.
Anyway, no, he's not.
Stupid lights. There we go.
So no, he's not 12-team mixed league, really. I mean, he's okay if you're hurting at your MI and you just want to play a hot bat and you're just hoping for something. But he's barely rosterable, I would say at this point. There's probably guys better.
All right, speaking of barely rosterable, why do people carry two catchers in a one-catcher league? Is there ever a time that strategy makes sense?
No. In fact, that I think if everyone were to take all their the energy they put into whether or not they should start this catcher or this catcher, and they would, sort of funnel that towards world hunger, maybe, cancer, something worthwhile, then they could probably eliminate hunger or cancer. I don't think they could eliminate both, but probably one of them. There's just not a whole lot you can, like with catchers. What I even say with in the rankings in the preseason, and when I tell people to punt them, they're so tomato. There's really very little difference between, say, Perzinski and Mesorasko. I mean, yeah, one's a little bit sexier. Obviously Devin Mesorasko is sexier, but Perzinski could end up having the same value. I mean, it's just put one on your team and just ignore it. Now, I'll be the first one to admit that it's hard sometimes. Like I had Jan Gomes for a week maybe, and he was doing okay. And then I saw Wilson Ramos came off the DL. So I went to Ramos, and then the day I dropped Ramos, Gomes hit a homer. So I'm really doing more damage than it's worth. It's hard not to pick the catcher scab, but you probably should. You're better off not doing it.
You know what I'm getting you for Christmas or Hanukkah is a name pronunciation guide.
No, I'm terrible. That's why I took Spanish for 13 years. I'm really bad, seriously. And I still can't say a word. Donde está mi desk? What? I'm awful.
Hey, let me go in a different direction here. So yesterday I was at Raising Cane's again.
Damn it.
Seriously, do they have Raising Cane's in California? Those chicken tenders?
No, they don't. They have Lorenzo Kane.
So I'm in Raising Cane, and there's a guy wearing, and this is a true story. This happened yesterday. I was at a Raising Cane's in Phoenix, right by the studio, and there's a guy wearing a SABR shirt, right, like sabermetrics. And so I go up to the guy. I go, "Hey, you're wearing a SABR shirt?" He goes, "Yeah, I work for SABR." What's your kind of talk or your thoughts on the whole kind of SABR thing? Because, they got all these conferences, and I mean, do you consider yourself like a baseball researcher, or you're just, hey, man,
He said he works for SABR?
Yeah. I looked him up. I don't want to mention his name, but he's one of the executives over at SABR. Apparently, the Razzball studio is like 3 minutes away from the SABR offices, the SABR head office.
I feel like that's like working for percentage, or that's like working for a quadratic equation. Like, what do you mean working for SABR? I don't.
Well, someone's got to run it.
Someone runs SABR.
I can introduce him to LinkedIn.
Are you? Yeah, you should. I'm surprised you haven't gotten an email asking you to be his friend on LinkedIn. Oh my! I get emails from people I barely know. Oh, do you want to be my friend on LinkedIn? Like, leave me alone, man.
You don't even have a LinkedIn account.
I don't. I signed up once because I was nosy. I wanted to see what someone was doing on their LinkedIn or something. I regret that day. I get so many stupid emails from LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I
have
no idea what you're talking about. That he works for SABR. SABR is
the Society for American Baseball Research.
There's a society? Oh my!
Where do you think sabermetrics comes from, Gray?
Why am I not on that? I didn't know there was an. I thought it was more like amorphous type of situation where it's like, yeah, I'm into saber, but I'm not. I didn't think there was an actual society where people walked around.
What did you think the letters stood for?
What?
What did you think the letters stood for?
I know, but I'm saying I thought it was more like an amorphous thing, not like an actual place.
Anyway, so I gotta go knock on their doors later and say, "Hey, can we come in and talk about sabermetrics?" What's your take on sabermetrics?
The stuff that I go with a lot of. I mean, with like FIP and balls batted into play, and I look at it all. Really, it depends on the situation for what you need. I think it's helpful. Anyone who doesn't, I mean, it's like Murray Chase sticking their head in the sands like an ostrich. I mean, you have to. I think it makes things a lot easier to see what a player's actually doing versus what it appears they're doing.
All right, fair enough.
C.J. Wilson. Oh my God.
So Will Venable has started out colder than last year's winter in Toronto.
Yeah.
He's still quite available. I mean, was last year an outlier, or is there still some upside here with Will Venable?
Well, this one is kind of annoys me. I'll tell you, because in the preseason, I was convinced Venable last year was an outlier, that I didn't think he was capable of the power, I really was very hesitant to go anywhere near him. But Steamer and Rudy's projections really loved Venable so much. I was like, well, he's falling in drafts. I don't know. I mean, last year, besides when Rudy analyzed all the rankings and preseason projections, Steamer did as well as anyone. So I was like, I got to, maybe he's seeing something I'm not seeing, because Venable's older. He's in his 30s. And it looked like it was just like totally just a random outlier.
Venable's not in his 30s.
How old is Venable?
I don't know. I'd have to pull it up. I don't have it in front of me, but
you can't say I'm wrong and then not have the actual information.
You know what? I've got all these computers going, and there's not one I can access. I could do it if I got rid of you.
Will Venable was born in 1982. So you tell me how old he is.
All right. Okay. All right. I stand corrected.
No. Tell me how old he is. I want the answer now.
32. Well, depending on his birthday.
So anyway, I ended up drafting Venable, but I don't trust him at all. I think the power was a fluke last year. I think he's more of a 220, 235 hitter with light power and some speed. I don't know. I'm pretty concerned about Venable. I wouldn't trust him to repeat last year at all.
Hey, speaking of slight power and little speed, what's up with Aoki?
Oh God, he is so constipating. Oh my God, he is like you should go ask the Saber people now. I own him on my RCL team, and I gotta tell you, a 1 for 3 with 1 run is really boring. Oh man, he's miserable to own. I'm considering dropping him. He's probably, maybe by this time next week, he won't be on my team anymore, because I can't handle the nothing that he's giving me. So yeah, I don't know. He's probably 85 runs, 10 homers, 50 RBIs maybe. That seems even high. 280 with 20 steals, which sounds fine in theory, but when you're actually living through that and you're getting one homer every, 2.5 weeks and one steal every 10 days, it's like, oh God, you want to pull your hair out.
All right, pick one rest of season. Alfonso Soriano or Curtis Granderson, who's actually been hot the last few days.
Yeah, well, that's because he was back in Yankee Stadium. I'd say I'll go with Soriano, but I don't really want to have anything to do with either of them, to tell you the truth.
Tell me how you really feel. All right, great. Thanks for joining us. Listen, what we're going to do on Friday. That's it, buddy.
I can go back to watching C.J. Wilson commercials.
Hey, so what we'll do is on Friday, I'm going to put it out to Razzballers if they have questions or tweets for you specifically. We're going to try and do a question and answer show Friday, see how that goes. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but we'll check it out. Hey, what's with the pinch, man? It's supposed to just be a mustache.
Oh, yeah, soul patch. I don't know. I'm trying it out. A little extra something for the man in the canoe. You feel me?
Get out of here. Great. Thanks for joining us today.
All right,
later. All right. That, of course, was Mr. Gray. Okay, so, Razzball Nation, a couple things you need to know. Starting tomorrow night, Thursday night, we will get finally that daily DraftKings game going on. It's going to be a 50-50 game. We're going to get as much as the Razzball crew into it every day. What we'll do is I'll mention in the hot sheet every morning that comes out which game we're going to be playing in. I'll also tweet it out. So if you want to get in with us, Jay Rong should be in it, Guru should be in it, Sky should be in it, Smokey. That's kind of the plan. You can come take our money. It's 50-50. It'll be a $2 play. So half you take your money back, half you don't. If you haven't signed up to DraftKings yet, go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code Razzball, and what they'll do is not only will they match your first-time deposit, but they'll also give you an entry into one of those 50-50 games. So that's kind of it. On tomorrow's show, hopefully, if there's no technical difficulties and we can get them caffeinated enough early in the morning, we'll get Sky on the show. And then also, hopefully, we'll get Guru on to do some jamming and cramming. At least that's the plan. If you want to ask great questions on Friday, we'd love to have you do that. All you got to do is either tweet me at Nick Capozzi, NickCapozzi, or email me, nick@razzball.com with your questions. Don't judge my roster. We can't go through that. But if you got some real legit questions, we'd like to interact with you. So let us know which one to ask. Again, at Nick Capozzi or nick@razzball.com. That's it. That's all we got. That's it. I'm tired, man. Gray takes a lot out of me. I mean, he really does. I can't ask questions. Thanks, Razzball. We'll talk to you soon.